protests raging outside the DNC in Chicago. Demonstrators call for Democrats to push for a ceasefire between Israel and Hamas, and they're pretty much anti-Semitic. But inside the arena, the Vice President, Harris, appeared to play both sides of the issue.
I will always ensure Israel has the ability to defend itself, because the people of Israel must never again face the horror that a terrorist organization called Hamas caused. At the same time, what has happened in Gaza over the past 10 months is devastating. So many innocent lives lost.
Yep, and the crowd got a lot louder on that second half of her statement, trying to be both sides on the issue. Former presidential candidate, former Democratic Congresswoman Tulsi Gabbard joins us now to comment, who famously debated on the same stage with Kamala Harris back in 2020. First off, your reaction to that statement, Tulsi, what did you get from it?
Well, like you said, she's playing both sides, and she's trying to tell people what she thinks they want to hear. You know, Kamala Harris, that she only wants to win, and her pollsters are telling her, well, here's what we think you should say about this or that. You know, it was just a few days ago she said that she would support an arms embargo to Israel, and the very next day either she or her staff walked that back. I think it was very noticeable that in her speech and at no time so far has she been willing to speak the truth about how Hamas is a radical Islamist terrorist group that poses a threat not only to Israel, but to all of civilization. Their goal is to implement a caliphate, an Islamist caliphate around the world, nor has she laid out a plan of how to defeat this very real threat, not only again for Israel, but for us.
How about defeating Hamas, and every civilian death is on Hamas, and Iran is the problem? And when I last dealt with Iran, I signed off on a $6 billion cash deal to get our hostages out. Obviously, by the definition, should never been taken to begin with. Not getting to victory. When she had a chance, Congresswoman, to actually show herself with an ally, she chose not to show up when Prime Minister Netanyahu addressed a joint session of Congress. What should I read into that? Should I listen to that speech, or should I look at her actions?
And this exactly is what we have to do, what voters need to pay attention to between now and Election Day on November 5th, is don't listen to the words that she's throwing at us, because they don't mean anything. We have to look at her record and her actions. She wants to be our president and commander-in-chief, and yet at no time has she demonstrated that she has any capability or that she is fit to serve in that position. In fact, she would be quite dangerous in that position, and I have no doubt she would try to weaponize and use our military in order to try to cover up and mask her weakness and insecurity.
Tulsi, it's going to be a big day for the former president if the reports are correct, and RFK Jr. will appear with him in Arizona and say, I'm out, and I like all my supporters to go behind President Trump. Who are his supporters? You know him. And what do you think this does to the election?
You know, his supporters are independent-minded people who value freedom, who are concerned about what President Biden and Vice President Harris have done to our country and leading us into the brink of multiple regime change wars, the brink of World War III and nuclear war. They're concerned about this broken healthcare system and the deep rot of corruption that is entrenched in almost every agency in our government. We'll see what Bobby Kennedy decides to do, and you know, no vote should be taken for granted. He'll have to make the case to his supporters about the very clear contrast between Kamala Harris and Donald Trump. Kamala Harris standing for taking away our freedom, an increasingly tyrannical government, and more war, versus Donald Trump, who stands for peace, prosperity, and freedom.
Tulsi, real quick, you already met with the former president about with debate prep. You went down there and told him what you know about Kamala Harris. How's he doing?
He's doing great. You know, I think you saw last night in his response to Kamala Harris's speech, he knows the issues. He is very honed in on her record and reminding voters, as you started in this conversation, what have you done for the last 3.5 years? You can paint this rosy picture about what you're going to do, but we're paying attention to what you've already done and how her policies have destroyed our economy, made us less safe, both here at home and abroad.
Tulsi Gabbard, thanks so much for stepping up for us this morning. Always great to see you.